How's it going, everyone? Bass here. So as the 2022 NFL Draft nears closer and closer, I wanted to start putting out videos on specific positional groups and prospects on how they fit into the Green Bay Packers draft. So today, in the first video of this series, I'm going to be going over 5 wide receiver prospect fits for the Green Bay Packers in the 2022 NFL Draft. Now, to start off, obviously, with whatever happens with Davante Adams and Marquez Valdes-Scantling can obviously change a lot. I'm pretty certain Allen Lazard will be back. He's a restricted free agent. They can put a second-round tender on him. I'm pretty sure they do want to retain him and will retain him. But there is still a chance that they could lose Davante Adams. And if that happens, a first-round wide receiver should almost be a given. And then also, if they lose MVS, they need to replace his deep threat ability. So in this series, generally speaking, out of the 5 players, I'm going to have 2 early round guys, 2 mid-round guys, and then also 1 sleeper. And although wide receivers such as Drake London and Treylon Burks look great, and I'd love to have them on the Packers, I don't see them falling down to pick 28. Now, Green Bay, would have to trade up to get either of these players, in my opinion. Now, that obviously could happen, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to be leaving them off this list. And then also, I'm going to be leaving off Jameson Williams and John Mechie due to their ACL injuries. Although Green Bay could also draft these guys. All right, so for number 1, I have a wide receiver I picked in the first round of my first ever 2022 Packers mock draft. If you want to go watch that, click the link right above, and that is Chris Olave out of Ohio State. Comes in at 6'1", 188 pounds, and I think he could fall right around where Green Bay picks in that first round, and they also just met with him as well. And Olave is probably one of the best route runners in this wide receiver class. I think he could be a wide receiver 1 or 2 right off the bat. So obviously, if Davante Adams or MVS leaves, he could slide right into one of those slots. 65 receptions on 101 targets for 936 yards and 13 touchdowns in 2021. Chris Olave also has the speed to separate downfield and be a deep threat. Very sure-handed, only a 4.9% career drop rate. Now, Olave does kind of struggle after the catch. He's not really a yak wide receiver, and he also doesn't have that great of agility. But overall, Olave is one of the most safest bets at wide receiver in this draft class. He will definitely be a solid target in the NFL and a solid wide receiver in the NFL, a day 1 impact in my opinion. So like I said earlier, if the Packers lose one of Davante Adams or MVS, or honestly both, which could still happen, this would be a great pick in round 1. As for my second wide receiver, I have Skye Moore out of Western Michigan, and this is a wide receiver I really like. 5'10", 195 pounds, doesn't necessarily fit the Packers mold, wide receiver mold, but he does play bigger than that 5'10", 195 pound frame. And the Packers also drafted an even shorter wide receiver last year in Amari Rodgers, so there is still a chance that the Packers could draft someone like Skye Moore. And he's, like I said, a guy I really like. I think he could fall right around that 2nd to 3rd round. And just as Olave was probably the best route runner in this class, I think Skye Moore is probably the best yak/agility wide receiver in this class, something that Olave lacks. 26 forced missed tackles in 2021, which is first in the nation for wide receivers. And I think he would just be a great wide receiver and player in this Matt LaFleur offense. I feel like Matt LaFleur could use him in so many different ways. He had 94 receptions for 1,291 yards and 10 touchdowns. He also finished the season with a 91.6 PFF grade. Now, Moore does have great burst off the line of scrimmage, but he could surely work on his deep to intermediate route running ability. He's not the best in that regard, but I also think Skye Moore could surely replace that Randall Cobb role day 1. He could slot right in and be a starter in the Packers offense. Now, Randall Cobb is under contract for 2022, but his cap hit is ridiculous, so the only way I see him remaining on the team is if he were to take a pay cut. Other than that, I do believe Randall Cobb will be cut. And like I said, I think Skye Moore could fit right into this offense as a slot guy, as an outside guy, just a general yak guy in the Matt LaFleur offense. So for my number 3 wide receiver, my next mid-round guy, I do have Romeo Dubose out of Nevada, 6'2", 200-pound wide receiver, and does fit that usual Packers mold wide receiver, and is also a real deal deep threat at 6'2", 200 pounds. I see Romeo Dubose as likely a 3rd or 4th rounder in this draft. 80 receptions, 1,114 yards, 11 touchdowns in 2021. Dubose has tremendous feet and balance for a wide receiver. He really does look like a Packers wide receiver when he's working the sideline in the tape that I saw. Also a very good shimmy release off the line of scrimmage, kind of like someone else I know on the Packers. And despite his size, he's not really a contested catch type of wide receiver. 6'2", 200 pounds, you'd expect him to kind of have a little bit more contested catch ability. He's really kind of not that. But overall, I could see him fitting right into the an X wide receiver role in this Packers offense. And he also returned punts, so there's obviously an open competition for the Packers for anything special teams. So he could definitely be a day one punt return for the Packers as well. And overall, I think he would be a great pick if the Packers were to lose MVS. For my fourth wide receiver, I do have David Bell out of Purdue. 6'2", 205 pounds, had a really nice senior year at Purdue. He was their only option, and everyone knew they were going to him, and yet he still produced 93 catches, 1,275 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And even though he's 6'2", 205, he's another wide receiver that just makes people miss. 25 missed tackles forced, which is fourth in the nation for wide receivers. And he can also really line up anywhere at wide receiver. He's a very versatile player. Now, he doesn't have the best downfield speed, but like I said before, he's very versatile, and he's really just an all-around good wide receiver. Great yak, great route running ability, great hands, just all around a good wide receiver. I also see him fitting right around that 3rd to 4th round projection in this draft. And I've also seen some James Jones comparisons to him, so that makes me want him even more. All right, so now, last but not least, my number 5 wide receiver. This is my sleeper pick. In my opinion, this is a receiver that's going to go day 3, and that is Devin Tompkins out of Utah State, and he is a very interesting prospect, to say the least. He is definitely the smallest wide receiver in this class at 5'8", 155 pounds, but don't let that scare you. This dude plays like he's 6'3". He blew up in 2021, having the 2nd most receiving yards as a wide receiver in the entire nation. 102 receptions for 1,702 yards and 10 touchdowns. I mean, this dude has extreme speed and explosiveness. He bursts off the line of scrimmage and can easily beat press, even though he's only 5'8", 155 pounds. And given that size, he's actually pretty strong. He's surprisingly a good run blocker and can bounce off contact frequently. Also a very solid route runner. His only real downside is his size, and he will fall in this draft because of it. If Devin Tompkins was 5'11", 200 pounds, this guy would be a day 1, day 2 pick. I mean, if you just look at his film and his stats, he is a freak of an athlete at wide receiver. And to me, he is a true sleeper. And like I said, the only reason I see him falling, and he will fall, is because of his size. And that happens a lot in the NFL draft. And I think he would be a great pickup day 3 for the Green Bay Packers. All right, so those are my 5 wide receiver prospect fits for the Green Bay Packers for the 2022 NFL Draft. I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think of these 5 guys? Is there someone that I missed that you want the Packers to look at and potentially draft? Put that down in the comments below. And like I said, I will be doing this on multiple positional groups, so definitely be on the lookout on my channel for those videos. And if you aren't subscribed already and want more Packers news, analysis, and updates when it comes to salary cap, free agency, and of course the draft, go down and click that subscribe button below. But on that note, I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.